This audio is brought to you by Muslim Central. Please consider donating to help cover our running costs and future projects by visiting www.muslimcentral.com/donate.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما وبعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Our respected brothers and sisters in Islam, when we hear about the story of love and marriage, what do we picture? Because of our background, perhaps we picture the typical Bollywood scene, wherein, we have a hero, super handsome, and we have a heroine who's super beautiful as well, and they suddenly go to university, isn't it? And they go to university and suddenly they get to know each other. First they're enemies, then suddenly they fall in love with each other, right? That's the way it is. It's tough to get each other. Then, or the woman doesn't want the man, but the man wants the woman, and she plays tough to get, and then suddenly falls in love with the man, isn't it? Then so what happens is a big love story. The father and mother don't want each other to get married. So wars take place between the two. Perhaps gang fights. And then thereafter, they live happily ever after with, I think, the father dying and the mother dying. Usually, the father and mother die. Yeah, isn't it? This is a story of 1,000 Bollywood films. This is the storyline of 1,000 Bollywood films. You can't get wrong. You can't go wrong with this. Always works. Okay? They've been making 1,000 films based on this storyline. And then what happens, brothers and sisters in Islam? They get married, they have children, but what is the reality? The reality is, brothers and sisters in Islam, when they do get married, and initially it's all joy and splendor and nice, honeymoon. Usually it is like that, but then it turns out to be that the reality is like that show that they used to have in Hollywood. They had a series called Love and Marriage. They used to have a series called Love and Marriage in my time, about 10 years ago. And this story was about this man who was married to this woman, and all they could do was fight. All they did was fight, and everything was a joke. And this series was that the husband and wife, they were married and they had some children. And the series was all about how they would fight against each other and crack jokes against each other, and how the wife was angry with the husband, and how the husband was angry with the wife. And truly they had a terrible time. And this is truly even more closer to reality. But what is even more closer to reality is what we find these days. And that is that many people who get married based upon love, and thereafter they get married just because of sexual attraction. They know that this is the person because he is the only one who can please me in bed, for example. And thereafter they get married. After they get married, what happens, brothers and sisters in Islam? Their basis for their marriage was love. The basis for their marriage was sexual attraction. The basis for a marriage was something that goes away when she has a child. No more is she beautiful. She is not fit anymore. She is not like the heroine that they used to know. And so the marriage bonds die away. And so we find divorces on the increase. We find that 70% of the marriages in America end up in divorces. We find in Saudi Arabia 40% of the marriages end up in divorces. Yani truly this is the story of our love and marriage, isn't it? That wallahi, because we base our marriage and our relationships upon nothing but physical attraction, or nothing but worldly material, worldly things, and we base our attraction on nothing but lineage, etc., on trying to preserve the fact that if we are Bengalis, we only marry Bengalis, and because we are Pakistanis, we only marry Pakistanis, and because we're trying to make sure, our parents are trying to make sure that our children only follow in this lineage, we find that truly, wallahi, many of the marriages end up in failure. We find the marriages end up in divorce. We find that divorce is the greatest disaster for the family. Unfortunately, that is happening every single day. And this is a story of our life, unfortunately, these days. Story of many, many pious people as well these days, who nowadays, as you know, divorce is so rampant, it has not missed anybody. Even the righteous people, even the imams, even the maulanas, maulvis, even they have divorces in their family. And wallahi, this is quite an unfortunate event. Quite an unfortunate event. Because this is what destroys the house. This is what truly destroys the fabric of society, the house, every individual's house. This is, if the house is broken, brothers and sisters in Islam, on which foundation will the societies ever grow? On which foundation, how will the children grow up when they have seen their parents divorce? When they have lost the barakah of being with their father and learning manhood from the father and having the same kind, soft upbringing from the mother. When they have lost this, when they see the father and mother arguing, when they see the father and mother fighting, and when they see the father, when he reads the ayah of the Qur'an, when Allah says, "Udkhulul jannata antum wa azwajukum tuhbarun," enter you Jannah, you and your husband and your wives, in a joyful manner. The husband says, "No, Allah, don't do it. Don't do it because I can't bear my wife in this life. Please, I don't want to be with her in the hereafter." Unfortunately, this is what happens, isn't it? You see these soapies that come out of Egypt. They make these series soapies and all that, and the Arabic soapies. And you find in there, subhanAllah, some of the funniest incidents. And once I remember seeing one of these, and this man, he was reading this. He was supposed to be a religious man, and he was reading this verse of the Qur'an. "Udkhulul jannah antum wa azwajukum tuhbarun," and he was saying, "No, ya Allah, don't do it. I can't bear her in this life. I can't bear her in an eternity of the hereafter." So, wallahi, this is the problem that I'm talking about. That our love and our marriage has disintegrated into nothing but hatred and divorce. Our love and marriage has disintegrated into hatred and divorce, and this is the problem that we have today, and this is our talk about today. We want to, brothers and sisters in Islam, talk about the exemplary family. What is the best family? Give me a family that we can talk about, who will truly be an example. For the husbands an example, for the wife an example, for the children an example. Give me a family which is the best of families. Which family can I find? I have not found in my studies any family better in its complete entirety for a Muslim in our life today to follow, for the husband to follow the husband, and for the wife to follow the wife, and the children to follow children, other than the family of Sulaym. Sulaym and Abi Talha, one of the best families in Medina. In fact, I would say the most exemplary family in Medina. And this is the super family, which if we want to truly fix our family problems, if we want to truly make sure that the father, the mother, and the children are doing their duties, then let us look at the life of this family, the family of Sulaym radiyallahu ta'ala anha, who was nicknamed Ar-Rumaysa. This was her name, Ar-Rumaysa, and her beloved husband, her righteous husband, Abi Talha al-Ansari. Sulaym radiyallahu anha was truly a righteous woman. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned in an authentic hadith in Bukhari that he said, "دخلت الجنة." In my dream, I entered Jannah. فَإِذَا أَنَا بِالرُّمَيْصَةِ إِمْرَأَةُ أَبِي طَلْحَةٍ. I entered Jannah, and it is as if I am in front of Ar-Rumaysa, the wife of Abi Talha. Meaning that he entered Jannah and he saw that Rumaysa was there before him. The Rumaysa had entered Jannah before him, and we know that Rasulullah, when he said this, that would mean therefore that Rumaysa was from the women of Jannah, isn't it? And we find that Rumaysa was so righteous, if you look at her history, that truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded her for Jannah because of what she used to do. Rumaysa radiallahu anha, Sulaym, she was originally, obviously she was a disbeliever. After Islam came to her, she accepted Islam. However, her husband was Malik. Her husband was Malik, a drunkard, and he was a mushrik. He was a drunkard, he would drink a lot. And he would drink a lot, and Rumaysa used to bring him the alcohol, and he would keep on drinking, and he would just get drunk every day, and he just couldn't leave his alcohol. SubhanAllah, how many families do we have these days like that, isn't it? How many of our unfortunate brothers are so engrossed in alcohol? And SubhanAllah, how many of our sisters write to us questions that our husband spends his time in alcohol, etc., etc. And wallahi, this is the story of her life as well. Her husband used to drink a lot of alcohol until the verse of the Quran was revealed to stay away from alcohol. So Sulaym radiallahu anha, this woman, she came to her husband, who was a mushrik at that time, and said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed that we should stay away from alcohol, so I forbid you from alcohol. I will not serve you alcohol from now on. And so Malik, this tyrant, this polytheist, he said, this is the firaqu bayni wa baynik. This is my divorce. I divorce you because of that. And so Malik, this drunkard, he divorced her, and later on, of course, he died as a mushrik. He died outside Islam. However, Sulaym, he left